the first question that I want to ask tonight is, as students, what were you thinking when you decided you were going to start your business? I mean, what was it that really, got you going with, I'm in school, I've got a social life, I'm partying, I'm having a good time, I want to date, I want to get out. Oh my goodness, I'm going to start a business. What were you thinking?
I started my business in April, and I've just kind of had a bunch of ideas since high school. I never really knew what to do with them. Sometimes I'd outsource them, sometimes, they pretty much just stuck around for a month or two. So it was pretty much more of the same. I just decided to actually go formal and register an LLC, and there was no real thought behind it. It was just kind of like, this is the next step. School didn't really have anything to do with it. It was like, I'm in Boulder, there's a lot of entrepreneurial energy here and a lot of good stuff going on. I want to get in on that and be legitimate as well and put what I've learned to good use.
Great, and also, can you guys each also, I apologize, introduce yourself and then also talk about what company you run, and we already know about Casey, so we'll pass on Casey. So when you speak, then go ahead and you'll go next. Okay.
So I'm Zach Shapiro. I'm a junior journalism for some reason, major at CU. I run 5930, which is an iPhone, iPad, and web app development company, and we do usability consulting as well.
Great, thanks, Zach. All right, Tim?
Yeah, I'm Tim Williams. I've had a couple of different ventures, but right now we're working on a company called GoSnag. Colin's my co-founder there. We make real-life objects, 2D and 3D objects, become interactive game pieces that you can play with on your cell phone. So, for example, something on the wall there, your cell phone recognizes it, and we allow individuals and companies to create activity around that object, whether it be a quiz or something. Right now we're focusing on scavenger hunts. So local scavenger hunts now, that's what we're doing.
Great, thank you. And so what was the genesis, or why, what were you thinking when you started your business, Tim?
I don't know, it's, I guess as an entrepreneur, it started out as just something that was in my mind already, and I guess it kind of evolved. And as far as school goes, I think it's interesting you bring up the whole thing about dating and partying and stuff. I know personally, it's a lot of fun. Like I've never gotten rid of that. So I think I went through phases. From time to time, I would get excessively focused on work, and I'd want to be like, I got to start this company. It's something I really want to do. And then I would become a little detached from my social life, and people were like, hey, you're not really having any fun. What's wrong with you lately? I'm just like, I'm working. And then I would break out of that, and then I'm like, all right, it's time to go have fun. And then I would break into a cycle of, oh, it's just time to have fun, and went down that path for a while. So it kind of went back and forth, and finding the balance is a pretty tough gig, but I think as long as you stay focused, you'll be able to do both.
Great. Casey, what were you thinking?
I think I know Tim pretty well, and I think kind of echoing that, I think for some people it's just like innate almost. It's just you always have to create things, and for me it's creating businesses, and it didn't just start with the current one. It started in high school with all that stuff, and even before that I was trying to sell anything I could, and it's just who I am, I think, and I can't explain it. It's just I always want to do that. I would be a really bad employee too, I think, really bad.
So the question is, what is the revenue model for your bus route?
So that's an interesting question, because the thing you don't want to do with an iPhone app is have a customer pay one time and then provide them content throughout the life of the app and them never pay again. So the content that RTD and Google provides is it's always changing. So we have to manage that constantly. So what we're doing is we're doing a $3 initial download, which is a one-time fee, and then there are 3 updates throughout the year: January, May, and August, and those are $1 a piece.
So the question is, do you have advertising?
Not currently, no.
All right, so how much time did you spend on strategic planning? I probably know the answer, but go ahead.
So strategic planning, it depends on what your version of strategic planning is. I know ours consists of getting in the car and going on a road trip for several days, and we would pretty much just talk in the car for the entire trip until we were sick of it. That was our strategic planning. So not very much, to be honest with you. We would just build up enough excitement to get going, and then we roll with it, pretty much.
Anything to add, Casey?
Yeah, I would say that we're the same way, or we were, but we're getting more, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but we're getting more where we do strategic plan, we think about things, and sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad. Like this new giveaways thing we launched was me and Kevin on a golf course I was trying to convince him and that we should switch our whole company to this focus, and he wanted to hit me with his 9-iron. But besides those type of crazy decisions, I think when we actually go to implement things, we're getting to the point where we really think about it more, but bat down a lot of ideas. And I still don't know if it's good or bad, because it kind of stifles innovation, but then again, it also helps you focus. So it's that fine line between it.
All right, what other questions do you have? Okay, so the question is, do you use usability consulting for iPhone apps?
iPhone and iPad apps. Yes.
And what do you feel like is the biggest thing to keep in mind when you're considering usability?
I think simplicity is a huge thing. There's a general notion in software that more features equals a better product. I get emails sometimes saying, well, this app has these features, why don't you have these features? This app is better because it has all these features. So I think that products that do one or two things or a few things really well, those are the products that stick around, like the iPod. You know, there's a reason that the Creative Zen isn't the main or the best-selling MP3 player in America or across the world or whatever it is. So when I'm doing usability consulting, I try to work with somebody and drill down to what are the essential things. You know, there's things that you kind of want to have and the things that are nice. So, you know, maybe tweeting from the app, that could be something that you want, but is it really essential? So simplicity is my number one thing.
So how do you raise your awareness of your application? Okay.
I think, well, the two apps we have out right now are one specifically for RTD and one for managing a reading list, which is the only reading list app there is right now. So if you're searching for either of those two things, visibility is not too difficult. The reason I haven't gone into games is because visibility is impossible. You know, you can stumble across an RTD app or a reading list app just by searching something you're vaguely interested in. But if you've got a game about, you know, samurai cowboys, you're not going to find that by accident. So I think the key to visibility is create a product that stands on its own a little bit, so you don't really have to worry about you know, days with no downloads or.
Casey, your model now is more B2B. How are you finding the pain versus the consumer focus? I mean, is it logistically challenging, payments challenging, POs versus credit cards? Where is the biggest challenge on the B2B side for you?
I would say that for B2B, I call it, I don't even know the right term, but light B2B or quasi B2B. And I would say it's kind of modeled after 37 Signals and all these varying softwares as a service web apps that you can use for a specific service. And we use a lot of them ourselves, and most of them accept credit cards. They don't take POs. So we haven't really a lot to learn. It's way different than consumer, obviously. I actually prefer it. I think because I'm running a business, I can relate more to those people, whereas I don't really relate to a big consumer internet type operation at all, and I had trouble with that.
So the question is, what is your relationship to your competitors, and how much do you worry about competitors? This is for all you guys.
Personally, for the RTD app, I studied the competition pretty intensely and figured out, you know, what they did. Again, back to simplicity, was overly complicated. So I really wanted to drill down and deliver the essential features that commuters would need. So as far as competition and them copying, you know, it's a general concern just because intellectual property isn't really a thing on the iPhone. But I think for right now, you know, we've got a great product and a great set of features, and I'm happy with where we are.
Sure. So for our model, I think we've taken a lot of time to look at companies as well. We've looked at a lot of the mobile gaming operations pretty intensely, and something I'd like to bring up is competition is a really big deal. And I think something that we've learned is don't off the bat assume that someone's going to be your competition. I think we've learned that there's companies and softwares out there, particularly through my experience with Techstars, they kind of coined a term cooperation, and there's a lot of companies out there that you can look at and assume that they're going to be negative to your business or they offer something that you don't. We've taken a lot of time to look at companies like how could we integrate with them, how could we leverage their user base rather than try and undermine them and go against everything they're doing. So that's a really important look. But for our particular model, I would say Scavenger is our biggest competitor, and what they've done is they've taken locations and created game activity around any particular location using GPS location, and I think we've really found a niche and taken it away from checking into a place and doing something like all these major services, and we're allowing you to interact with objects, so it could be anywhere, any place, and any company could be tied to it rather than checking in.
I think what Tim said about integrating with other people is an important point to touch on. I've been talking to a lot of people recently about when you have a great idea and you think it's all your own, and then you go out on the internet and you find someone who's doing either the exact same thing or something that's pretty close. And a lot of times you get disappointed. You're like, oh, my idea's been taken for 6 months or a year and a half or whatever. So I think as an entrepreneur, it's important to look at the opportunity and say, instead of developing this from scratch like I want to do, or like I wanted to do 5 minutes before I found their website, how can I go work for them? Can I go add what I've been thinking about to their product and make that much better? Because it's your vision, it's also their vision. So.
Great. So Casey, your partners were initially your competitors in some case, right? How did that all come together? Because these guys were also printing and selling shirts, I imagine.
Yeah, as far as the manufacturing side, they were, but not usually online. Like we were kind of one-on-one. But I think from a competition standpoint, we pretty much straight up copied a couple of companies. When we launched our website, we were just going to do it better, and we didn't know anything. We just did it. But I would say that was kind of good for us because it allowed us to really understand that you do have to be differentiated. And we thought we were going to differentiate by one-upping them on something and whatnot, and that didn't really work too well. But what it did allow us to do was just start doing the business, and we got involved with the business. I think until you get involved with a specific niche or specific industry, you're not going to see how it really operates, and then we're kind of able to go our own way, but still leverage most of our core strengths as far as the one-off digital printing and the other types of things we've gotten really good at over the years.
Great. So the question is age a factor in doing business? I mean, Casey gave the example of signing a lease with 21-year-old, so how does that affect you and what you do?
I can agree with that. Some of my earlier ventures, it was a huge problem. I started my first company when I was 15. I wasn't able to drive to meet some people. That was an issue, but yeah, I mean, on a more serious level, I think just being young in general, there's a lot of things that you just don't know. We've definitely had some, in my previous ventures, had some bad business relationships just because we were so young and reckless. And I think moving along, we've learned a lot of stuff. It is a problem, but I think now being in tech and doing stuff on iPhone and doing gaming and stuff, I think it's a lot more widely accepted, so it's been a little easier road as far as age goes. And also as far as business meetings, it's kind of embarrassing going out and someone wants to take you to lunch to talk about your product or service, and you're not old enough to order a drink. That's it.
I think along the same lines, I've gotten a lot of beer offers recently, and I gotta wait 20 some more days.
He's still 20.
So I just send them an email with the number of days left, and I say not that I'm counting. But I don't think, I've only had one experience where age was a problem, and that was from someone who was in a master's program who was adamant about the fact that they had been educated in a certain way and that I hadn't had that same set of education, so therefore I didn't know as much. You know, through iPhone development and then through everything along those lines, I've never really had any issues. Whenever somebody hears about my age, they're usually encouraging, and they're like, wow, you know, I was partying at 20, or I was, you know, I'd wake up passed out in the middle of a field or whatever, and you're making iPhone apps, so that was kind of interesting. But so this one person, you know, was really stressing the fact that I wasn't in a master's program, so therefore I didn't know what they knew. And I think that there's a whole bunch of different ways to get a knowledge set and information you need. You know, I like to say most college lectures can be learned in Wikipedia in 15 minutes. You know, don't go to class. I mean, I go to class, but you know, read books, talk to people. There's a bunch of different ways to learn stuff. You don't have to be in formal education to be as intelligent or as informed as someone else.
What do you have to add, Casey?
I think mostly people, if you know your stuff or you're willing to learn it, it'll treat you with respect. I mean, there's been some issues, but we've been able to get everything done. We signed the lease, and I mean, simple things. We didn't have enough credit. I had to have a co-signer in the lease, but I don't think that would have been any different if I was older and with the same credit I had. So I don't think it's been too big of a problem. And like you said, I mean, I think a lot of times it's an advantage. People kind of want to see you succeed when you're young.
And I think what you said is absolutely true. If you know your stuff, they don't care whether you're 45 or 25 or, you know, 10's probably a little young.
Is 45 old? Is that what
No,
you're saying?
no. I'm just saying.
I'm just checking there.
45, there's usually 15 to 20 years of experience. But yeah, know your stuff, and people respect you, and they're willing to do business with you.
Great. Other questions? Right here.
So the question is, you know, based on your generation of friends, are they more entrepreneurial in your sense, or are they just like maybe every other generation?
I'm going to take the cynical approach here. I tend to think that you know, we hear a lot about entitlement at my age. People think that because they graduate from college, they're entitled to a job. They're entitled to, I don't know whether you want to call it the American dream or a, you know, a high-paying job straight out of college. So I think it's Boulder's kind of different, but in general, I think it's hard to find people who are entrepreneurial at this age. You know, going through on the internet, you know, trying to connect with other people my age, it's a little difficult, and it seems like, you know, each college it's few and far between. I mean, obviously Stanford's probably a little different. You know, colleges like that are a little more entrepreneurial, but I think for the most part, you know, kids are generally concerned with college and getting through it, and not really focused on the fact that they can start something tomorrow and really have nothing to lose.
Tim, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I kind of have an interesting one, which is it's probably going to be pertinent to this particular meetup. I was living in Hawaii for a while doing nothing, and I came up with an idea for printfection, actually. That's how I know Casey. This is kind of an age thing here. I'll never forget when Casey told me this. I came up with this idea for printfection. I won't go into the details of that, but I pitched it to Printfection, Cafe Press, and a couple other companies. And I came up with it in the backyard while I was drinking a cup of coffee, and I went inside, made a presentation. Probably 2 hours later, had it emailed out. It was just a fast thing that I came up with. I was like, wow, I could really benefit that company. And I sent it off to him, and long story short, Casey ended up bringing me out to Denver, introducing me to the company back when they had the production facility. And when I first got there, he was like, God, you know, I'm glad you're not some old guy. Like I'm glad you're such like a young person, and you know, that's the kind of energy we were looking for. So in that situation, I think my age was a big advantage. So it went well.
What else, Casey?
I forgot the question. I'm sorry. I was just
your
thinking
generation.
I was thinking about Tim.
Your generation, is it?
I remember now. Okay. Yeah, I think our generation isn't that much different. I would say we might in a whole, from what I understand, maybe want more flexibility in our job, but I think most people still are kind of going through school with the mindset of getting the corporate job and whatnot. I know at least a lot of my friends didn't really, I would say, didn't have a ton of respect for what I was doing. They thought it was cool, but I think kind of in their mind they thought it was crazy. But now when they're starting to see some of the small benefits I have, like a very flexible schedule and things like that, I think they wish they had that, and maybe, you know, we'll go into that someday.
So the question is based on you growing up in technology, right? They say that smartphones are making kids smarter because they have to learn more. The internet has made them smarter. For people who miss that information age, what can you advise them on to be able to compete with you and to, you know, learn what you learn? So what are some things that you would recommend they
I think my parents come to mind. They're obviously older than I am, and they run a construction company, and I think I've been trying to kind of educate them on how they can get more business using tools, more modern internet tools like blogs and an updated website, and kind of becoming a thought leader on their specific type of remodeling that they do. And I think just trying to learn and stay open. I don't think it matters if you're younger or older, but even me, I know is my very limited experience. I've already kind of gotten more set in my ways and don't want to change cell phones or whatever because I have to learn it and I'm busy and things. And I think just trying to remember that and stay open to new things. My mom does text all the time now, and she's on Facebook more than I am, so anything's possible.
Yeah, I guess I would have to say, you know, just like with anything, it's just a matter of doing. If you feel like you're behind the times or you're not up on technology, then, you know, just sit down and start learning about it. I mean, just stuff as simple as Twitter. I personally just started using Twitter not even 4 months ago or something. I never liked it, and I was getting behind on the times even though I'm young, and I just sat down and made myself get connected with Twitter and started using it. And I guess the main thing is just start doing it. You know, just dive in, start using the technology even if you don't really know what you're doing. And it's kind of one of those things that it probably benefits you more to just figure it out on your own and just spend a lot of time with it, you know, if it's something you want to do.
You have something to add, Zach?
Yeah, I've remembered my thought. I think a dual mentorship.
Sounds like you have old age now.
I won't go into that. That's a separate problem all the time. I think a dual mentorship kind of thing would definitely work where, you know, I have a friend named Eli, and we sit down and he's like, you teach me about technology, I'll teach you about the stock market. Because it's something I'm interested in, but not something I'm interested in enough that I'm going to dive into books and devote all my time to it, because you need to do that to be successful in that and not lose your money. So I think, you know, sitting down with someone and say, you know, teach me how to set up a blog and how to use social media or set up a social media strategy. And I'll teach you about accounting or, you know, whatever your area of expertise is, because, you know, you're clearly very good at something and in some area of business or entrepreneurship. So you have that to give them and they have something else to give you. So I think that that's a great way to learn.
Okay, why don't you tell us about that and maybe they can give you some advice.
Sure. I'm working on a company right now. We're developing some cleaning products, mostly in the design areas right now. We're working on our first one, is a new windshield wiper system. And so we're working on getting some different relationships set up with some tier ones where those right now. And so that's mostly where that's at right now.
Okay, so you have a new windshield wiper
System for cars or?
For cars, airplanes, trucks, pretty much anything that uses one.
Okay, so I'm going to ask
ask you, each of you, to give him one bit of advice about how he can be successful.
Yeah, well, I don't think you have anything to worry about. As long as you keep doing it, you're going to figure out something. It sounds like you're highly motivated, well-dressed. I think you're going to be successful. I just bought my first suit the other day. I didn't even know how to even buy a suit.
Tim, you got something?
Yeah, I have a question for you though. Do you have a prototype or something that you can demonstrate how well it works, or you really don't?
Yeah, I do. We have a fully functioning prototype that we've developed, as well as some different portable prototypes so that we don't have to bring something out of the car or whatnot. So that is something we have.
Okay, and one more question then. do you have anyone that's already using the product that would vouch for you and say this is awesome?
Not at this point. Prototypes are pretty expensive to make at this point, so not really right now.
I guess my piece of advice would be, first of all, find someone that is the person that's going to do that for you. Even if you have to get it to them for free, as long as you get it to them and they're in love with your product and they tell anybody it's good, I'd get that, and then that'd be your first step. And the second step to that is identify a key person that if you were like, if I could just have 5 minutes in front of this guy to tell him about this idea that I have, I would find exactly who that person is, and I would show him that, hey, here's a person that's using my product, they love it, and they'd sell it to anybody if they could. What do you think about it? And I would come up with a clear goal as to what you want to acquire from that person.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I think I'm a huge proponent of using blogs and social media to get the word out. I mean, you're a 16-year-old inventor who's potentially got an idea that could not only save lives, but revolutionize, the way people see when they're, commuting in a major way. So I think that leveraging that is a huge way, like Tim said, to get in front of these people that you look up to, whether it's someone like Mark Cuban, who, clearly has a ton of connections, can put you where you need to be. Just something to, you're a really extraordinary kid, use that advantage to get the product and the word out. I don't know if you've ever heard of Kickstarter.com. It's a crowdsourced funding model. So if you need to raise some money to develop, another prototype or do something related to those, to that aspect of the business, essentially what you do is you pitch to the community, you give little benefits for people no matter how much they donate, and then you get the funding if you raise it. So
The question is, for Tim, how do you approach people that are connectors or people who have influence, like
Sure.
Mark Cuban?
Yeah, I think I've contacted lots and lots of people throughout all the stuff that I've done, and at first I just thought it would be cool. Hey, if I could just get an email back from this guy, I'd be happy. And that worked out actually, and I think I learned that these people are out there, and they're not strangers. They're not hard to get in touch with. They're actually whoever you may be interested in talking to probably wants to hear from you. They just don't know who you are yet. And I think the main thing you have to do is have a purpose for contacting them. Why do you want to get in touch with them, and what do you want them to help you with? And once you have that solidified, I've created a lot of different presentations or like slides that explain what I'm trying to convey, or it could be as simple as an email. And I literally just find whoever it is, I email verify them, make sure I know who I'm getting in touch with, and just blunt send them an email. That's what I did with Casey, and it's one email has created a relationship that's shaped everything I've ever done. So, can I add to that? Yeah.
Jack?
one huge thing is use your age. If you're running a general business and you're 25, 35, and you say we're in this market, we do this, they can easily delete your email, and they're like, you're just another business who contacts them. But if you say, I'm a 16-year-old guy, or I'm a college entrepreneur doing what I'm doing, they stop on that point and they go, whoa, and then maybe they check out your Twitter account or your blog or your company website, and you get that stutter step in their thought process in their day, and you get a little insight into them. So definitely use that while you still can.
Before you get old like us. All right.
Especially for press.
Be a little bit ridiculous. That's fine. I people say I write ridiculous emails all the time, but it gets people's attention. That's the goal. If the goal is to get a meeting or just have somebody open it, then don't be shy to write some crazy subject line or do what Tim does. I mean, the best person I've ever seen of just random introductions to very high-profile people is him. So get his email and talk to him.
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna add something. I might have vaguely got lost in thought there, but what was I gonna say? I don't know. The same thing just happened to you. Oh yeah, that was right. The stutter step he's talking about. I think the interesting thing is like the windshield wiper product, that sounds really awesome. And you know, it could be anybody doing it for 20 years, and you know, they just happen to come up with this. But since you're 16, you know, it really would get their attention. And I found that the people that you contact and leverage, they're way more interested in you as a person than whatever it is you have in mind. So keep that in mind when you talk to people.
Okay, I'm going to ask you as we wrap up here to provide one lesson that you learned that you would recommend, because we're all entrepreneurs in this room. Age has no barrier. So what can we as other entrepreneurs or people who are going to start businesses, what's one thing that you felt that was extremely valuable? Either you learned it the hard way or you did it right off the bat and you do it a million times again. So one thing that you want to leave with us before we finish up tonight.
You got 3.
Okay. Focus.
Focus is mine. That's it.
Okay.
Focus.
I was just telling him to focus.
Oh, focus too, but no. Yeah, focus. Like I said in my talk, I think it's been a hard lesson and it's super important.
Okay. Did you get it?
I think write everything down, money-wise. I don't know if you did this when you were going through your friends and family and your capital raising, but don't leave anything in a gray area. Something where 6 months down the road somebody can go, oh well, we did this differently. I've had bad experiences where nothing was written down and somebody tried to take advantage of that. Luckily, things worked out for the best, but you know, have somebody there to write it down and have it legally done.
Okay. Tim?
I would probably say have a goal for everything that you do, not just a goal for the business, but a goal on a day-to-day basis. If you don't really know what it is you're trying to accomplish, whether it be for that year or for that particular day, then you may be making progress in some way, but if you're not working towards a specific goal that you want to accomplish, then you may not ever get anywhere. So that would be my piece, and execute on it. That would be the second thing. Is it's one thing to sit around and think and talk about something all day, but if you don't get up and spend whatever time is required to do it, then of course you'll never know if it works.
Okay, so there you have it. So goal, execute, focus, get it in writing. Sounds like a seasoned entrepreneurial group to me. Thank you guys. Tim, Tracy, Zach, thank you.